Hello, lovely people. It's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last weekend. Thanks to your good wishes. It turned out to be a pretty mild cold, and I didn't have to miss any work shifts. But of course, that meant that I also didn't have much of a chance to get in here during the week and make more mess. So it's been perfectly tidy since that big sewing room blitz I did on the Monday. And then I haven't been in here since. Very sad. I've got a few things to show you, and then I want to talk about what we're doing in February. What should we start with? Let's start with the hat. Last week, I was showing you the start of this hat. It's just a really basic cabled beanie. It's called the OneDayHat, although it took me a few days to finish because I wasn't pushing myself to finish it fast. It's by Yers, Yers. LEE. It's a free Ravelry download, and so I will leave a link under the video so that you can see where the pattern is and find it. It's really simple. There's not much cabling. It's only every 9th row you do a cable cross, and there's 5 repeats around the hat. So very simple. And unfortunately, the yarn I used was the Lion Brand Re-Spun, which was just a bit too thin for this. So it's a very airy sort of beanie. I think I would describe it as a sort of beanie you'd wear on a mild day on a bad hair day. Because it's not going to be wind blocking or anything like that. But I would definitely make it again. It's a very good, simple pattern to have in your wheelhouse if you wanted to make a gift for people with varying sizes of heads, because it is very stretchy, and I would call that a one-size-fits-all, definitely. Anything from a teenager up to the biggest person you can think of, or the biggest head you can think of. Because sometimes the size of the head doesn't have any relationship to the size of the body. My head's quite large. I think it's 23 inches around, which is actually, on the large side. Some people are 24. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone with anything bigger than a 24-inch circumference head. So yeah, I'm at the top end there. Pleased it's finished. A little bit more stash burned. I did not weigh that. I probably should have weighed it to see how much I used. Doesn't matter. It was a partial ball of the Re-Spun, and yeah, probably could have made quite a few hats out of that ball. I hadn't already used it up on a crochet beanie. So I'm feeling like 95% well, a little bit of a frog in the throat, a little bit of congestion, but apart from that, I feel fine, which is wonderful because it's miserable when you feel sick, isn't it? Today I was at the tea shop with my husband having a nice cup of tea. We haven't done that for a couple of weeks. And I took a project bag with me. Oh, I just love this one. This is one I made way back. It was like a upcycled jeans type thing with a little patch off another pair of jeans, and it's got a pocket on it from a pair of jeans, and it's got this really wacky purple lining in that, which I probably wouldn't have used in much else because I don't really like it that much. So what I did before I went out, I threw some oddments of yarn in here, and I ended up using this partial Loops and Threads Impeccable Multi, and I crocheted a pile of hearts. Oh, and seeing as I wanted portable, I didn't know what size hook I was wanting to use, I took this with me. This is a Denise, hang on, is it Denise to go? Something to go. It's a little tiny crochet hook set. Anyway, and I bought it a really long time ago, and I bought it, I think, from the US, and by the time the conversion had been done and the shipping and everything, it was a very expensive set of crochet hooks. And with hindsight, I was thinking, why did I spend that much money on that? Anyway, it's nice to have. It's actually great for Tunisian crochet, and I don't do a huge amount of Tunisian crochet, but I have done in the past. And it comes with 6 hooks from a 5mm. Hang on, I'm going to need my glasses for this bit. the size of the hook is imprinted into the resin, 9mm. So with Tunisian crochet, you do need a bigger hook than usual for the size of your yarn. So it's nice to have the bigger sizes. And it comes with some cables in here and a couple of stoppers. So you could do Tunisian, which requires you to hold quite a few stitches on the cable as you're working. So I took that out with me and I used just the smallest 5mm one to crochet up some hearts. I made quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I actually made a 9 and left one behind, just hidden in plain sight for the tea shop owner to find after we had left, because, you know, I like giving her little things now and again. I'm going to show you how I made this a bit later on, because it's very easy. It just takes a few minutes, and you might want to make some as well to give to people, or just hang around your house, or add to gifts, or whatever. So I will keep that to hand for later. One or two new additions to the family, the sewing room family. I used some of my fitness credit from doing my workout program, and I bought myself 2 new Speedball printing inks. They're block printing ink, and I got a black and a silver. And I took advantage of the sale at Michael's. They were on a buy one, get one half off. And so I thought it would be dumb of me not to do the deal. And then I also get my staff discount off that. So I now have 2 more tubes of this block printing ink to add to my collection. I thought the black particularly would be good to use with rubber stamps. Maybe roll the black ink onto the gel plate, or directly onto a rubber stamp, and use that to add to my printing playtime pieces. Maybe. That's very exciting. And add that to my special box of tricks for that. Other things that have come into my house this week. A lot of interfacing. It was funny because I went to see one friend this week, and we were talking about a course. Oh yes, let me write this down, because I want to remember to link to this, or at least mention the name in the description. So there's a person called Meredith Woolnough. I think that's how you pronounce it. She's in Australia. She is a fiber artist. She is going to be running a little class in February. Starts probably, actually, maybe by the time you see this, it might be starting today. February the 1st or maybe the 2nd, her time, which she's in Australia. So in my time, that would be probably the day before in Canada. So she uses water-soluble stabilizer and just random lots of little bits of threads to make sculptural bowls. And I was like, oh, that is really pretty. So of course, when my friend was telling me about it, I was at her house in her amazing studio, and she gave me a little bit of this water-soluble stabilizer so I could join in with the course. And I didn't have to run out and buy some of this for myself, because she had quite a lot. The other thing she gave me was, oh wait, I had forgotten. She gave me a tiny bit of this to do a postcard with. And then she went crazy and offered me a huge chunk of it. So I'll show you what it is. This is Peltex. It's a kind of interfacing which is really stiff, and it works really well for making sewn postcards. And she gave me that huge chunk of it. There's like a meter of it there, which is amazing. And she does a lot of things where she'll put some fabric on a backing, like a muslin, say, and she'll do some thread work and some applique and all this other lovely stuff. And then it goes on to piece of the Peltex and another fabric for backing. She normally uses her sewing machine to embroider words on the back, art by, and then she puts her name. And she has to be careful, though. I mean, she has actually sent one through the mail before without putting it in an envelope, and it never got to where it was going. So I'm wondering if maybe there was a problem with the post office machinery. It could have chewed it up or whatever. So now when she sends them, she puts them inside an envelope to keep them nice and protected. But cool kooky creatures, Tori does a postcard stitch along every month. And so now that I've got all this Peltex, I'm thinking maybe I should be joining in with that. So Tori, maybe you'll see some postcard from me for the February prompt. I don't know what it is yet. I'm waiting for her to bring out the next video so that I can see what the February inspiration prompt is to do the postcard stitch along. Really exciting. I also need to write down that so that I remember to link to that. In addition to those little gifts, she gave me a massive pile of muslin, which is just a really, really basic fabric. It's unbleached, undyed, and it's just the natural color that it is when it comes off the rollers in the factory. It's got quite a bit of crispness to it. When it's not washed, it has sizing in it, I assume, and so it's quite crisp. And she said that it's best to use this unwashed if you want to do the postcards. And I'm also thinking that seeing as I never got around to buying anything linen for my little patches on denim bag idea, that maybe I should just use some of this. I should do a little test, I think, with the rubber stamps and with the Derwent ink tints, and maybe see if that will work for that, because I've got tons of it now, which is wonderful. Oh, there's going to be a few little edits to cut out all my throat clearing. Okay. The other thing that happened this week is my friend said she was going out of town and she was going to Fabricland, and did I need anything? And I was like, well, funny you should say that, but yes, I'm out of interfacing. So I asked her what to get, or I asked her to get me some. And in the end, she ended up not buying anything for herself. She just bought something for me. So that was nice of her. I got, which is which here? I think I have 3 meters here. I'm trying to remember what I asked her to get in the end. I think this was 3 meters of the medium weight woven fusible. It is the Pellon. Apparently, the store she went to didn't have the store brand one, and of course the Pellon is so much more expensive, but it was on sale at 55% off. So I asked her to get me 3 of that. I do have some of the black, but I just find it so limiting, and the white is much more usable. And then the other one I have is a non-woven, lightweight. This was really thin. And I like this one for doing the patchwork. Hang on, where's my little patchwork cloth here? Hold on a second, let me just unload this little basket here. So this was made on a backing of interfacing that I had drawn a grid on. And then you iron the patches on, and then you sew the seams, and it's a wonderful controlled way of doing patchwork. It comes out really neat and tidy. So I had run out of this, and now I have tons. I can work on using some more scraps up. That's going to be a good thing. So let's talk about February, which, as I'm talking to you, is tomorrow. I had an idea, which I did mention in a previous vlog. No one responded to that particular thing, and I'm not sure how much interest there's going to be, but I'm doing it anyway. I've already set up a lovely little thumbnail, which is really cute for all my February videos. And I think it's going to be a daily video. If I can keep up with that, I will. And it's going to be called Philanthropic February. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? It's going to be a bit of an interesting one to type if you're putting your pictures on Instagram and you want to use the hashtag. I might have to think up a shorter version of Philanthropic February 2026. Maybe. I'll give it some thought, and when I'm editing this, I'll make sure to put the hashtag to use if you're putting pictures on Instagram of what you're making. I will make sure, and I need to write that down too, hashtag. I will have to put a hashtag so that you know what to type into Instagram so that we can all see. And then, of course, at Stitches and Slapdashery so I can see and get a notification when you post to that. Here's the plan. Philanthropic February is all about making for others. Now, I'm usually, I have been in the past very generous with giving away a lot of my things or making things for others, but I'm also a strong proponent of if you find that it stresses you out or pressures you or puts you in an awkward position with people, I'm a proponent of selfish crafting any day of the week. I am. But seeing as it's February, and because there's some things that I wanted to make for others, I'm running with it. So, making for others, it could be family, friends, co-workers, strangers, whoever. Random acts of kindness. Giving somebody something, even if it's not a tangible item, could be something that's not tangible, but it could be a service or a smile or a kind word. Random acts of kindness. And the byline for this is 28 days of love, because the world always needs more love, doesn't it? Especially right now. Especially right now. And so what my plans are. First, I'm going to kick it off by sending this to my sister. She's just done a journaling workshop, and I made this last year. And it's a rather gorgeous, if I may say so myself, journal wrap, which I made. And I made it to house this journal here, which I had had for years and I had never used. And so I rather enjoyed making sure that the colors in the wrap complemented the colors in the cover of this, the blue and the pink and the silver. And so I sent her a picture the other day and I said, would you like this? Do you have a journal? And she said she's got some random notebooks, but she's never had anything as pretty as this. So guess what? This is going to get mailed to my sister very soon. So that's the first thing I plan to do. The second thing I have to decide is I've got this much left of my inventory that I had made for last year's 2 years ago. The Farmers and Crafters Market was 2 years ago. Time goes by too fast. I have fleecy pouches. I have vinyl pyramid pouches. I have a whole ton of small things in here. I have this little denim bucket that I had made. And there's a number of things in here. And I'm going to have to decide who to give these to. Either I could give them away during February, or I can save them for the festival in September. So I'm going to go through and look at that and decide what to do. Oh, one of my hearts is on the floor. Oh, two of my hearts are on the floor. Oh my gosh. Okay. The other thing was this bag that I showed you last time, which was the prototype for a possible bulk sewing session of denim bags out of old jeans. I'm thinking, just in case that I decide not to run with the drawstring bag, I put a little question in the Christine's Home Affairs Facebook group today. Another thing I need to link to. And I asked them what they thought would be the best idea for something I could make. 28 items, so one for each day of February. 28 items that are small, minimal hardware, place on the front for a little embroidery. Like that was the fox one I did with stamping and the Derwent ink tents and a bit of embroidery last week. because yes, this was easy, but you know, I'm open to other ideas. And I still have these other two little ones I made with the bee and the snail, which are really fun. I did those on linen, but as I say, I might end up using muslin instead. So that's possible. So 28 items out of upcycled denim. That'll help me burn through a lot of my stash of upcycled denim, which will be a good thing. And also I'll have to figure out which quilt cottons to use for the lining. So that will go through quite a bit of cotton stash as well. And then I think also what I'm going to end up doing is making a few totes for a local organization that helps women, disadvantaged women, get dressed up, ready for interviews. They have a little free store downtown where the women can go and shop, and then they fill up a big tote with what they decide to take home. And I've done this a couple of times over the last couple of years, and I'm not sure how many totes I've given them now, but it's quite a handful. And I know I have quite a lot of random fabrics I could use for that. When I was tidying on Monday, I found some options. So that's another thing I plan to do as part of my Philanthropic February. So what else? Inventory, tote bags, small bags. Did I say the small bags are going to go for the silent auction at the festival I volunteer at every September? So this is going to be a month of making for others. And of course, the things may sit around till September, a lot of them, but that's okay. I can tuck them away. So that's the plan. I'm hoping, as I said, to have daily videos throughout the month, maybe as a little bit of inspiration to help you think about what you can also make for others, if you want to. I mean, if you don't want to join in, that's fine. If you want to join in, but just make one thing to be given to one person, that's good too. It might be a larger item and it takes you a whole month to make it. That's great. Just nice, I think, in February when a lot of people are going through a bit of a dull month, maybe desperate for spring to come. I'm fine. I like the winter, but some people don't. Some people may be going through a really hard time emotionally and mentally right now with the SHIT that's happening in the world. And at any time, it's a good excuse to get in our craft rooms or sit down on the couch with some yarn or some fabric or some thread and have some making time, right? So let's do this little crochet tutorial. I promise you it's really quick. I'm not even going to speed it up or anything because it's so fast I don't need to. Let's get this out. If you want a closer look at this Denise to go set, the hooks are resin. So they're nice and warm. And even though they're not ergonomic, not ergonomic, even though they're not ergonomic, they're pretty comfortable to hold. And then you get the different length cables, which you can put the stopper on so that you don't lose your stitches. And I think there's some joining bits way down in the bottom here somewhere. But yeah, very deep. So for regular crochet, you can just put the shortest cable on. And it just snaps on or clicks on, just like that. Very easy. So I just invented this on the spur of the moment this morning at the tea shop. I did adjust my design a teeny bit for the later ones. So all it is a one round granny square and then a couple of little shells. And it's really, really simple. So let's grab the yarn I used, just make another one in the same yarn. Get those out of the way. Could have made a magic ring, decided not to. I just did a slip knot and 4 chains to start. I wanted the absolute quickest thing I could do with the minimum of finishing. So 4 chain, slip stitch into the first one, and then I just lay the tail down along that chain so that when I'm working my first few stitches it catches it, and then I just trim it. With magic ring you do need to be careful to fasten off very, very firmly, but with this method you've already got a slip knot at the beginning, so it's a bit more sturdy. So then I just do my first 2 double crochets. So double crochets are called treble crochets in the UK. I use American terms. And there's my first granny cluster. So then I just do two chain. The funny thing about these hooks is they are what a lot of people call a Bates head, which is an inline hook. So there's a straight line here, and then this weird looking little cutout head, which is completely different. See how it's quite straight here? It's a completely different shape from a boy head, which is tapered. And sometimes it takes a while to get used to using that style versus the one you're used to. Okay, I did my chain 3, my 2 doubles, and I did a chain 2. Now I'm going to do another cluster of 3 doubles in here. It's going to be slower than I would normally make it because I am looking at my phone screen rather than straight at my work. I was able to run up 9 of them this morning in a very short space of time. So there's another cluster of 3 double crochets, and then I need to do another chain 2. Now I'm going to do another cluster of doubles. I quite like this variegated yarn, but it would also look very good in a solid as well. So there's my cluster, my chains, cluster, chains, cluster. So now I need to do 2 more chains and then 1 more cluster because we're making a teeny tiny square. When I had an idea for this, I thought a heart is just a square with a couple of little bulges on it. Should be simple to design something. So there's my last cluster, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm going to do 3 chains. When I first did the initial experimental ones, I was just doing 2, but I found that by doing 3 chains here, you get a slightly more defined point at the bottom of the heart. Now this is going to be tricky. I'm going to have to try and get my hook into here. They're not super pointy hooks. And I do like to get my hook under 2 strands, preferably the top 2 strands of the chain so it looks better and doesn't pull loose as it would if you only did 1 strand. So this is going to be the bottom of your heart. Now all you have to do is slip stitch into this one and slip stitch into this one and then slip stitch into the gap. And that just puts you in the right place for the next bit. And then if you look at this cluster here, and this is your middle stitch, you're going to be working in the top of the middle stitch. So we're doing 6 doubles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've made a little shell, and then you're going to slip stitch into this space. So that's the first bulge of your heart done. And then you're going to do the same on here. So here's your middle stitch. Here's the top of it. You're going to do 6 doubles into that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you are slip stitching into this next gap, like so. And then I just do a chain 1 and cut. Scissors. Here we go. And I'll need my darning needle as well. Oh, 2 of them. 2 of them volunteered at once. Pull that through. And because I did a slip knot and wove my end, crocheted over my tail for the first few stitches, I can just snip that middle one off and then weave this one in. Because there's not going to be any stress on the tail of this, I'm pretty sure I can confidently just weave it in one way. If you want to be more conscientious than me, do it 2 ways, like double it back on itself. I'm just going under these back part of the stitches here. But yes, best practice is to double it back on itself. So go back slightly over, like not obviously in the same place, and then back like that. And then you can trim it and it's done. So wouldn't that be a cute little thing to hand out to people or leave in random places to give people a smile? Or add as a gift tag or something? I think I might make a little garland out of these. I should have left the camera on because I had the idea of making a crochet chain to hang my little hearts on. I left a bit of a tail, did 10 chains, and then I slip stitched to the top of that heart. And then I've done 20 chains. Or was it 15? Hang on a minute. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 15 chains. I think that's going to be enough. It's just going to be a very small garland at this point. So I did 15 chains, and now I'm ready to slip stitch on another of my hearts. There's a very handy little stitch right at the top there in that dip. Slip stitch it on, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Grab another heart. Pop the hook right in there. If you don't like putting it in the middle, you could hang it slightly wonky. You could have a wonky heart and maybe attach it up here somewhere instead. I did try that, but I think I prefer it straight. Slip stitch it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm liking this idea a lot, but I've got quite a bit of that skein still to use. So I'm not going to cut this yarn as I'm making my chains, but I will put a stitch marker in here, I think. Once I've joined these ones that I've made, I'll put a stitch marker in here, and I'll grab the other end of this little piece and make a few more hearts. And because I'll be working from each end, I can figure out what's the maximum amount of hearts I can make for the amount of yarn I have. I like that idea. That's very cute. Did you notice my new addition behind me here? You see that heart garland that I made just now? Those hearts were ones that I made last year. And hang on a minute, let's straighten you up a little bit. You're on the table of my teeny tiny tripod now. So those hearts I made, maybe it was last year, might have been the year before, and they were in my living room on various things for a long time. I had attached some to my plants and just dotted them around the room upstairs because I thought they were fun, and they lived there for a long time. And just recently I took them down. In fact, I think it might have been as I was putting my Christmas decorations up, I took them down and I put them away. And then when I was tidying up the other day, I found them again, and I thought, well, Valentine's Day is coming. My Philanthropic February is coming. It fits with the theme, so I've hung them up just here. So now I have two heart garlands with my crocheted one and my sewn one. Just straighten you up a little bit again. So I hope you feel like joining in. Do let me know in the comments if you plan to join in. If you have any ideas for what you want to make in February to fit with the theme. And yeah, I'll again come up with a hashtag, which I will put along the bottom of the screen here, which you can use if you post pictures to Instagram. Thanks very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. And assuming that I managed to achieve my goal of daily shortish videos in February, I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.